Hello, guys. It always puts me live before I realize I'm there. So I wanted to say hi just in case. Mute my computer so I don't end up doing a double mic kind of thing to you. How is everybody today? Oh, and I'm going to actually turn and face you guys. I know I look terrible, but whatever. It is what it is. Hello, Tracy. How are you today? Ah. I am organizing because I'm going to move. Good morning. Well, good afternoon, Faith. Good morning. I don't know where that came from. Hello, Lori. How are you today? Hello, Sylvia. I don't know what that typo was, but it was obviously a typo. So I'm going to show you guys my hands. I don't know if you can see, but they are red, swollen, and I'm breaking out, which is stress. It's all stress. I know it is. I slept until 11 a.m. this morning. I'm just mind blown. Um, I don't have a place yet, Tracy. My phone is sitting like underneath the camera. I don't have a place yet. We have found a couple of really good possibilities, but we can't make an offer until we have the loan approval letter for our buyer here. And they have to give that to us by the 9th at 5 p.m. So I can browse, but I can't really look in earnest until we have that. Oh, nothing wrong with spelling a name wrong. Mine gets spelled wrong all the time. As a matter of fact, half the time I answer to Michelle because my sister's name is Michelle and I grew up answering to it. So, if you holler Michelle in a crowd, I may just turn around and look at you like, what? So, but we've got a couple of really good possibilities. One popped up on realtor.com yesterday that probably is the perfect house, and I'm fingers crossed hoping that it will still be available. We're ready to make an offer and that it will pass inspection, because we had an offer on a house before that we put an inspection on, and after the inspector came in, it needed the heat replaced, the air conditioner replaced, the roof replaced. It already needed cosmetic updates. And for some reason, the people who used to own the house had put the washing area, the laundry, in the kitchen. And that's not customary in the United States, Sylvia. I do like the European way of doing it, but this washer and dryer were so old that they, along with all the other appliances in the house, needed to be replaced. And the house that we're looking at now is actually the house directly behind the first one. So I'm afraid it might be the same builder. And this is one of those neighborhoods where most of the people have passed away. They bought the houses in the 50s and 60s and lived there their whole lives. So I don't know if updates have been done on this or anything. Yeah, Lori, Laura, Lauren. I was awake until 3 a.m., Sylvia. So yeah, it was a somewhat rough night. Not as bad as some have been lately. It wasn't pain, it was just I couldn't get to sleep. Hello, Colleen. How are you today? I've got the chat going on both sides so I can see it if I move around. So I didn't get anything done on my organizing yesterday, if you guys are following along with that. But I'm also organizing and packing at the same time. And I'm still kind of ambivalent about packing things until I know for sure where I'm going, because it makes a difference to what I'm going to take with me. Now, some of you have seen my craft room tour, and believe me, my craft room is not as neat and clean as that tour showed. And I want to go through, my pegboard is up here to my left, and I want to go through that and get a bunch of stuff packed up. My stepdaughter wants anything that I don't want to take with me that's crafty. And I don't have garbage in here. The garbage is all gone, except for there's some stuff on the floor from yesterday. Um, but I want to go through it and figure out what all I'm not taking, and then, pack a care package, whatever you call it, up for my stepdaughter and send it to her. Actually, she's planning to come pick it up when we get ready to actually move. Yes. You thought it was Friday. Nothing wrong with that, Lori. I don't have a problem with that. Go talk to your husband. I love it when I get text messages while I'm on live. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Getting text messages. Am I frozen? No, he's not going to live in it, Sylvia. This guy is buying this house probably he's either going to use it as an office, or he is going to like put one of his employees in here. So he could care less what this house looks like. We have, I think it's 60 days written into our contract that we have to move after we close. The issue for me is that I want to know where I'm going before I start packing. It's my mental block, not his. Yeah, it is hard living, in transition and not knowing for sure where you're going. But since January is a great month to organize and clean up our sewing spaces anyway, I thought, well, let me share the organization part of this, and then I can start packing, as things go. And it's a good time to clean out anyway. I have probably up on that wall there, um, Wayne is absolutely the best. He hits the Dollar Tree and he buys anything that he thinks looks like something he's seen in my craft room. So I thought I had that out of there, like half a dozen of these. This is a Dollar Tree rotary cutter, and I'm sure they work fine. And I can use this for paper, but I already have a rotary cutter that I use for paper. I have a smaller one that I use, and I've never opened this package. So why should I keep this hanging on my wall when I know that I'm never going to use it? Because I'm addicted to this one. I like my Martelli better. So, and Sylvia had said something yesterday about, or a couple of days ago, about needing a rotary cutter. And I was like, oh, that would be cool. I could pack that up and send it to Sylvia. Somebody took care of that for her already. So I don't know. And I don't know what she would have to pay for customs and duties and all that stuff. For a dollar rotary cutter, I'm kind of like, what would it cost you to get this, Sylvia? If I shipped this to you, what would they charge you? I'm sure it would be more than $1 on customs and duties. Is that what that's called? Duties, not duties. Don't get your mind out of the gutter, people. But anyway, so stuff like this, I'm like, I'm not going to use this. I know I'm not going to use it. So who can use it? Because I don't want to throw it away. It's a good rotary cutter. You just paid the rent, Faith. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I've got a lot of stuff like that. I have rough count. I'm counting 9 embroidery hoops. I don't hand sew anymore, guys. I can't. My hands don't let me. So I'm like, how many embroidery hoops do I need? Well, probably 1. And only because then I can put a project in an embroidery hoop and do that on my regular sewing machine if I want to. All of the rest of them could go somewhere. I'm certain I didn't pay much for them because I'm thrift store shopper. Um, oh, okay. Well then, Sylvia, consider that rotary cutter yours because I will definitely ship that to you. Um, but yeah, exactly. And less than what dollar? The dollar sign is on 4. So if it was less than 4 pounds, you wouldn't have to pay anything. Yeah, I could do a giveaway box. It's just I have a serger that I've got to get down and clean up too because that's going to a new home. It's already been earmarked for somebody, and I want to get it down, clean it up, and get it ready to go. And when I do that, I'm going to film it because I want to film how to thread the serger. It's one of those the brother ones from Walmart, but I want to film how to thread it, where it's supposed to be oiled at, and all of that for the recipient so that they have a reference video to go back to for later use. Because once they get it, of course, they'll want to use it. And I want them to know how to thread the machine because when I first got it, it's not a threader like my Imagine. My Imagine has air threading, and this brother, you have to know how to do it. So I want to make sure that there's a clear video for the recipient. Hi, Marie. So anything that's less than $10? Okay. It's good to see you, Marie. Happy New Year. I haven't seen you in a little while. I haven't been in many chats though, because I've been working on stuff here. But anyway, so that's the kind of thing that I've got up there that I know that I'm not going to use. And yes, Colleen, there may be a giveaway box in the future, but I hate to say yes, there will be until I know for sure what, because my stepdaughter doesn't need, if I have 5 of these or whatever hanging up there, she doesn't need 5 of them. One would be sufficient for her. So I'm not going to overload her just because she's nice enough to take the stuff off my hands. Doesn't mean I'm going to load her up with a ton of stuff she's never going to use. Because you need, 1 or 2 rotary cutters, depending on how many workstations you use and how you work. And the other thing is I don't want to start going through things because I don't want to churn. And I don't know if you guys know what churning is, but it's a hoarder term. Churning is when you move things from like one spot to another and you don't actually get rid of them. All you're doing is like dusting them off and moving them somewhere else. I don't want to do that. I want to touch it once or twice at most and have it be heading to where it's supposed to go. So yeah. It's good to see you, Marie. I haven't seen you in a while. Marie's one of those people who I text when I find really great deals on Amazon, or she'll send me a text when she sees them. And neither one of us has texted each other any great deals here lately. So I definitely have to start looking again. But I can't do the Amazon videos like I was doing before. Amazon didn't like them. So I'm like, okay. And then I got, well, I'm starting to get, I've refused most of them, but I'm starting to get emails from various people wanting me to demonstrate their products. And I don't know if that's something you guys are interested in. The latest one, now they're small products. I haven't gotten an email from like Baby Lock or Brother or any of them. That's nowhere near that classification. But I did get one a couple days ago because I put up my 13 ways to organize, any room in your house, about doing some some pump bottles that are amber. And I can think of lots of uses for the bottles besides what they're intending them for, which is for like shampoo and conditioner and stuff in your bathroom. But I don't know if that's really on brand for me to do a review of something like that. And would you guys be interested in that? Because I don't know if that really ties into crafting. I mean, I could use the bottles for glue, I could use them for alcohol, I could use them for things that I already used in my craft room. But I'm like, I don't know that that really fits the crafting area. Hey, Marie, they missed out. That's okay. That's okay. Sylvia, you probably are a turner. If you're like, I have a tendency to be a turner. Let me put it that way. But I'm also, I don't know if anybody here follows Clutterbug. Um, Blonde, just lost a ton of weight, looks great. She's awesome. Um, but she has definitions for what kind of organizer you are. And I think I'm a butterfly in her nomenclature. I like to see my stuff because if I don't see it, I forget I have it. Now, basics, I don't forget. Like I know that there's a 2-drawer nightstand right in front of my right knee, that inside of there is a bunch of, well, let me see if I can just pull it out and show you. We're talking organizing. Let me share what I do. So I have a nightstand here, and these things are school boxes. There's ribbon in this one. One of my snaps setters is in here. And this is the original one that I bought for like plastic snaps on baby clothes. Bring that up there so you guys can see it. And all the stuff that goes with that is in there. The awl and the little clips that go to it. This one's hard for me to use, so it may actually go when I purge. I have the snap tool. Oops. I have the box for my backup machine. I have a Brother CS7000 that is my machine in case the baby lock goes down. And I have all of these set so they are like this in that drawer, and I can read what's written here. And that works out really well for me. I know that stuff is there, so I don't have to think about it. But like, I may forget that I have an extra roll of ribbon somewhere because it's not visible to me. So I'm the kind of person who needs clear drawers and open storage. I forget that I have patterns if I don't have them out and near me. And there's a program called Evernote that I use. Yeah, there's a program called Evernote, and you can list in there all of your sewing patterns. It takes time to do it. It's time consuming. And I listed all of mine a few years back. And then I go into Evernote to look whenever I want to buy a pattern. I don't buy many regular patterns anymore. And the reason for that is almost everything's available online, or I have a projector and I've converted quite a few of the ones that I use regularly to projector patterns. There's a top from somebody, it's called the Flora pattern. I don't know, I don't remember who makes it, Stitch Upon a Time, maybe, that I use a whole lot for tops for me. And it's really simple. I could almost cut it out in my sleep. I just need to know the proportions on things. But I make that one regularly. And so I know that that pattern is in the projector file on my computer. So, Sylvia, that's not how it's supposed to happen. She said she tidied up a cupboard top this morning and opened a drawer and threw it all in. Oh no, Colleen, you would never open a drawer and throw things in. Have you guys seen Colleen's cabinet? I'm amazed at everything she gets in a little drawer and how organized it all is. And she got rid of a round bobbin holder because square fits in her drawer better. Me, I'd have kept the round bobbin holder because I spent money on it, and I would have found a way to set something down inside of it, like a bowl. I have this one. You guys remember the rope bowls that we made a while back? And in here, I have my little magnetic pen holder. I have some of those cute little animal buttons because I haven't found a home for them. My little mirror that I can look and see underneath my sewing machine. And this sits right behind my sewing machine. There's a little empty spot there. and that's where it sits. I don't like this arrangement because it means that all the pins are kind of behind things. I have to figure out something better, but I won't throw the bowl away because I made it. That's dumb, right? Right, right, Marie. And the computer is a great tool to use for organizing patterns and blocks and stuff. And one thing, and I'm going to share this with you, you guys may have all thought of this, or none of you may have thought of this. I have a general folder on my computer desktop that's called sewing. And then I have one for embroidery and I have one for quilting. Now, those three folders each have other folders inside of them. Inside the sewing folder, there is a place, there's a folder for bags and purses. And inside that folder is the names of brands that I buy sewing purse patterns from. Like there's Swoon, there's Emmeline, there's Tori for Seems Legit. And whenever I buy a pattern or acquire a pattern, because I haven't bought all of them, quite a few of them are free. But whenever I acquire a pattern, I download it and I store it in that folder. I do the same for embroidery files. I have embroidery files from Designs by Juju, from, I don't even know, a couple of other places. And you guys should know Designs by Juju just bought IJK embroidery designs. And I think this Friday is the last day to download the embroidery designs from the other company. Designs by Juju now owns them and will be selling them through Designs by Juju. I can't remember what IGK. Anyway, go look at Designs by Juju. It's like on the cover page that they've bought this company, that if you have patterns that you've purchased from that company, you need to download them. The drop dead date is Friday, and you need to get them downloaded, or you're going to have to pay for them again from Designs by Juju if you want them. Yeah, I have a couple. This one's for my jazz, and these are not filled, but this is one of those bobbin boxes. I have two more up there that don't have any bobbins in them, but my jazz is picky about bobbins. So I bought these and I use these for the jazz and for the flourish. And you guys may have all seen on the Amazon videos that I did. These, I paid like 35, or I didn't write it on here, 35 or $45 for this box of 144 bobbins that were pre-wound. Now I'm not going through them super fast, but they had them down to as low as $20 at one point. And it looks like a tiny box, but that holds 144 bobbins. I'm not taking those out of that box. They're going to stay right in there. You know, and that little drawer right there, let me see if I can turn you guys without making everybody dizzy, dizzy, dizzy. See the drawer right there? That's a piece of the paper that I use to cover the back of my mats. But this is thread for bobbins. There's the other bobbins that I've used up. And then I have all my bobbins in here, all the ones that actually have bobbins in them, and an extra set of pins. And the reason these pins get to be in the bobbin drawer is because they're flat and they're plastic. And I use them if I do applique or embroidery work on the regular sewing machine. So sometimes it's not appropriate to put all of your pins in one place because your pins have different uses, and the same for bobbins. So if somebody came in here who didn't know sewing or didn't understand that concept, they might decide that all of my bobbins should be in one place and clump them all into a drawer. Well, that's not really the most practical way to organize that stuff, because those bobbins have different uses. And these bobbins all happen to go to my two machines that I use in here the most, the Baby Lock Jazz and the Flourish. And in some cases, I'm going to turn you back around here so you're not staring at my mess. In some cases, it's more appropriate to have the same kind of thing in different places. If I had a long arm, I wouldn't have the bobbins for the long arm sitting here. I would have them in some kind of container near the long arm. Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate that. It is a lot of pre-wounds, but if I do, like, the Jazz is picky about bobbins, and when I pre-wind bobbins for the Jazz, sometimes they don't wind perfectly, and it saves me a whole lot of hassle from having to cut out thread. So to me, that's worth it. The Flourish doesn't like regular bobbins at all. It likes the pre-wounds only, so I use it for that. Pins do have, well, Tracy, I only have one box too, and I know where it's at. I can put my hands on it in seconds at any time. So, I think that that's a win-win. Now, this is something that I have way too many of. And this is, again, because, my husband's a dollar store shopper and he's wonderful at it. These erasers are the ones that I use to clean my my wool mats and my cutting mats. That's probably more than I'll ever use in my lifetime, but they're all in one spot together. I will probably be, gifting some of those to someone because I don't need, 20 of them. And rubber erasers, rubber in general, does break down. Hello, Shirley. And Shirley is an example of someone who has everything put away just so in her craft room, or she did have before she got sick. But Shirley's craft room is extremely organized, and I'm not worthy. Shirley's way more organized than I am, and I think I'm pretty organized. So Shirley's got me beat. She did do a craft room tour a while back. You guys might want to go look at it. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly. You actually rewound the pre-wound onto your Juki bobbin and it worked. Oh, that's awesome, Marie. That's a great idea. And the Jazz likes a certain weight of thread. This is, it's not going to do it. The finishing touch bobbin thread, it's 90 weight, 100% polyester. And if I remember correctly, these were fairly expensive. It was like $9, I think, for a spool of this. And this is 1,100 yards. So it's in American yards and not in meters. And that's expensive. So for, the $30 for the 144 pre-wound bobbins, I didn't think was an awful deal. I did find a bobbin thread that comes in bigger spools, like the ones you would use on a serger. But that's expensive too. It's almost $30 for 2 serger size rolls of it. So Sylvia, the goal isn't necessarily to get 100% organized, because that's never going to happen in our lifetime in anybody's craft room, not if you're actually using it. 100% organized craft room, to me, says that that person doesn't actually work in that craft room. So even, the day after I filmed my craft room tour, you could have walked in here and found fabric on, you can walk in here right now and find fabric on the floor. And threads and things are not in place. And I've been obsessed because of stress. That's what's doing it. But I've been obsessed with this. And this is the ironing case I'm putting together for my mini iron. Sylvia, you're a bad influence. So here's I'm working on making a better version, because the first one I started, I think, last week. It came out lumpy and bumpy around the edge, and I didn't like that. And then somebody said to me, "Oh, piping would be cute on that." And I thought, "Oh, piping would be cute on that." So, of course, now I've got to work on it all. Oh, good Lord. No, my serger's not picky about brand of thread. I have bought cheap thread at Joann's. I've bought cheap thread at Waywack. A couple of different places. So yeah, no issues there. Hello, big guy. How are you today? He's in the bot now, Colleen. Right, Lynn, that struggle's real. You know, when you have a small space and well, even if not everybody can see it, but you know, like, you don't want to wake up and look at a mess. I wouldn't want to. Piping is a whole lot easier with the serger, in my opinion. And when I do the piping for this one, I've still got to put, I want to put batting in here. And I'm not using batting, I'm using toweling, because I have it. I have a piece that's exactly the right size for this. And I'm going to quilt it this way when I put it in from horizontally. I'm going to quilt it. And once I do that, then I will, my brain is stuck at the stupid message. Sorry, guys. Once I quilt it, then I'm going to figure out how long this needs to be, and I'm going to make piping, and I'm going to use up a little bit of the rope that I have floating around here, and I'm going to make my piping with rope and fabric. It should be 45 guy. Exclamation point 45 guy. I didn't want to put big guy in there. That just sounded, I know that's your channel name, but 45 guy sounded better, and big guy just felt like, you know, we were trolling you, and I didn't want to do that. Right. Yeah, I thought that's what it was. Yeah, you've got to keep your sewing space or your crafting space. I'm using crafting because some people call it their quilting room, some call it their sewing room, some use it for card making, some do a little bit of everything. I'm one of the last ones. I do a little bit of everything. I sew, I quilt, I embroider, I crochet when my hands will let me. So yeah, that's okay, Colleen. No problem. Marie, good idea about not calling him big guy. I just wanted to make sure that we had him in there, because he's been here several times and he seems very nice, and I enjoy his channel. You haven't gotten any copyright anything on it, have you, big guy? That was my concern, because I got a copyright. It wasn't a strike, it was a warning on a song I put up the other day, and I took the video right back down, of course, but I had recorded something else, and it was actually background music that was playing, and it gave me a copyright warning. So I was like, well, that's not cool. It was not pleasant. I don't like getting copyright warnings. I have 3 on my channel, but they're old, from way back. They're not copyright strikes. They're allowed to be used on YouTube, but I can't monetize the videos, which is fine, because they're all 3 old, and they're from back when I first started doing shorts and videos and stuff. Studio. Yeah, Shirley. I think yours is probably the only one I would actually call a studio. Um, or maybe Becca's, because it's actually a purpose-built space that's made specifically for crafting. Um, Yvette's got the greatest one going though. I'm still going back and looking at Yvette's sewing room reveal, or what did she call it, craft room? Um, because every time I look at it, I see another idea. And there are plenty of ideas in Yvette's space that I plan to steal once I get moved. Your knitting short was only 18 and over. I would appeal that. I put up a video for Mr. Happy, and I said, Mr. Happy has hot chocolate. I drew a cup. I was like, he's having a cup of hot chocolate, right? YouTube gave me a warning for that. And then I appealed it, and they were like, oh, okay. I guess a human actually watched it. And I don't even want to think about what hot chocolate might signify or stand for or flag. I just was like, that's okay. Let's keep going. Plagiarism. You're very welcome, big guy. Now, if you haven't subscribed to Big Guy, I'm not going to say you have to, but I've enjoyed all the music and videos that I've seen on his channel. So, check it out if you feel like it. I appreciate it. I'm sure he would too. He is, how close are you to 1,000 now, big guy? I think you were at 907. And speaking of subscribers, I just hit 1,500. Yay. I'm just like thrilled about that. Colleen is 530. Ah, Colleen's at 530. Sylvia is at 525, 530. They're neck and neck. Yeah. So, they're doing great. Dawn at My Quilt Projects is knocking on 700. Yay. I'm just like thrilled for all of you. Shirley, where are you at now? I know you were over 500 the last time I looked. You might have been over more, but I haven't been. Some numbers stick, Colleen's and Sylvia's, because I'm always back and forth with the two of them. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. I'm just like, wow, 1,500 people want to see what kind of crazy stuff I'm going to come up with next. All right, let's go. 533 for Colleen. Yay. 522 for Sylvia. You guys are literally neck and neck. That's awesome. Thank you, Lynn. And I don't know, I am bragging about my friends, because I think it's great that everybody's worked so hard and is making progress. I think that's awesome. And I really want to encourage you guys to find nice people to watch. I don't want to watch people who are mean or whatever. I just, these people I know are nice, and I know they're kind to others, and I know that they encourage others, and that's kind of the vibe I want to encourage. Big guy didn't get put in my bot for a while because I was like, I don't know this particular content creator, but now that I've visited his channel a few times, and I left that uncapped. I'm a bad kid. But now that I've visited his channel a few times, seen him in chat, I think he's a nice guy. And, I don't want to encourage you to go visit somebody who's going to be creepy, but Big Guy's been nice every time we've seen him. And that's kind of what, yeah, that's kind of the vibe I want to encourage, is let's all be nice to each other and just try to have a good time with this little crazy journey called YouTube. Because YouTube has no logic. I absolutely 100% believe that. And so every time something happens on YouTube, I'm like, really? I grew, 500 in a couple of months, or I lost 5 subscribers on a video. And I'm like, well, what did I do wrong on that video? And a lot of times there's nothing to identify. It's the same as other videos I've put up, and you're just like, okay, well, let me sit here and I don't know, but we're all trying, we're all working. Yes, I'm against leading lambs to the slaughter. Right, right. We are family for sure. Yeah, Sylvia, Colleen, all you guys, I'm just like, yeah, don't mess with my friends. We're all, I don't know, it's hard work, but we all try, and that's what we're trying to do is help each other grow. If you're not going to help each other grow, then what's the point? And I see you, Tracy, Tracy, Tracy. She doesn't have a channel, but she's so much fun as a mod. Kelly is at almost 600. Kelly Cruises and Crafts. That's awesome. Yes, that's awesome. Yeah. Now Sylvia's you're going to do a live tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, which is 2 p.m. for her. And I think that she's going live with, are you going live by yourself or are you going live with Lynn? I thought at first that she was going to try to have me or Colleen on with her, but I'm a total klutz with the FPP, and I would definitely be the person who would be going, but Sylvia, even though we're live, you got to help me because, I'm a dunce. So, yeah. Yeah, We Are Family is a short. Marie, they won't do copyright violations on creators who aren't monetized as long as they use the music through YouTube Studio. But once you get over 1,000, I don't think you can monetize those videos that you use the YouTube Studio on. As a matter of fact, I know you can't because I ran into that, which is why I haven't been using all the cool new music because it won't be monetized. And if I'm going to monetize my channel and I'm going to go through all the effort of putting up shorts and designing them and putting them up and everything, I want it to be able to make at least a little something for me. Yes. Oh, I will definitely try to sew along, Sylvia. I may watch and then try to do it afterwards. I'm obsessed with this iron case right now. I really am. So, and if you guys answered me, I didn't see it. Are you guys at all interested in seeing those bottles demonstrated or used or see how long they last, anything like that? If you are, I'll go ahead and tell the person that I'll do it. But if not, I don't really think it fits my channel. But that one, I was thinking I can use those for this and that and the other. But I'd probably have to demonstrate them as shampoo bottles first. Yeah, Colleen. I I came on YouTube because I wanted to do something that was more social and to give me goals to reach. And I was kind of content to just kind of stroll along and have a channel, and do a video and a live and da 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 da. And then I got attacked and I got mad. And that's like the wrong thing to do to me. So they don't have a sprayer, they do have pumps, Colleen. I'm gonna disregard the invite on it because um like I said, I don't want to be distracting, but I will be watching and sewing along. And of course I'll be acting as a mod for Sylvia because that's what we do is we help each other out. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think it'll be fun. I've downloaded the pattern from Sylvia because she sent me a link to the pattern and I'm going to try it. I've also got her parrot block downloaded. You guys, here's my stack of patterns I've downloaded recently that I want to take a look at. These are an issue for me. When I print paper patterns, I like to use them as soon as possible. But one of these or two of these are Sylvia's patterns here. And I downloaded a free bowl cozy pattern a while back. I want to take this together and laminate it so that I can put it in my template stuff in my ruler book, because I want to make them. And I talk about Beth at my sewing room all the time. These are the little carolers she made for Christmas. I want to laminate these and put them in my templates. And this is more of Sylvia's templates. I printed more than one because I'm going to have to sew on the fabric at least the first time. Awesome. Great for Tracy. She finished her embroidery. Lynn's husband is procrastinating on picking a printer. EST is 9 a.m., I believe. Big guy, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, Beth at my sewing room is awesome, and she's growing really fast. She's 51K, I think I saw yesterday. And I've been so busy. I used to go check her channel every single day to see if she had put something new up. And I've been so busy that I think that I make a date on Saturday to go look before I go to Mom and Pop's live, because there are still like 4 or 5 people that I make it a point to be at their lives if I can do it in any way, shape, or form. Colleen, Sylvia, obviously my own, because can't have a live unless I'm here. And I try to get to Yvette's and Steph's, and usually I can do one or the other in a week, because I'm trying to get other stuff done of my own. So, and then on Sunday, I refuse to do anything that's work as far as shorts and that kind of stuff. I use that to be able to watch the people that I like to watch, which is my sewing room, my self-reliance, the ones that I didn't watch during the rest of the week for YouTube and because they're my friends. I watch the ones that I've always watched just purely for entertainment. Simple Living Alaska, my self-reliance, Beth at my sewing room, Kate at the Last Only House. I'm behind on Kate. I haven't watched any of hers in like a month, so I want to do that soon. 4 quilt tops on the go at the moment. Yeah, okay. Good luck with that, Sylvia. I have 30. Oh, I know I told you guys that the Viking horde descended and the grandkids ate us out of house and home, which was awesome. It was the first time in years that we've been able to have them because of the pandemic, and some of the babies I hadn't even met, the ones that live in Michigan, but they brought all their kids down, and it was so nice to get to put my hands on the babies and hug them and kiss them and squeeze them and call them George, all that good stuff. But they raided my quilts. Yes, I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And my one stepdaughter, my one daughter was like, are you sure it's okay to take all these quilts? And I'm like, here, take this one too. She was like, okay. But they live in Michigan and it's cold. I mean, they bought one of those big drafty Michigan houses with the 2 stories and all that, so they can use the quilts. And then I sent home with the other daughter that lives here in Port St. Lucie, the one who we stayed with during the hurricane. I sent like 3 or 4 quilts home with her. The one I made for her oldest son, the one I made for her when I saw the fabric. This will tell you how long ago I made this. I saw sushi fabric. It was the 3 1-yard cuts on So Yeah. And I went, that's Kat's. And I bought it. And it made the quilt. And it has sat here all this time until they came last week. And I was finally able to give it to her. And when I hadn't even said, this is your quilt, Kat, she picked it up and she says, "I'm taking this quilt." And I said, "Good, because it was made for you." And she said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, as soon as I saw the sushi fabric, I knew it was yours." So she was like, "Oh." And then we finally got to send the grandson that lives in Miami, we finally got to send him his quilt. And that has his name on it and all these construction trucks. And that daughter was nice enough to send me a thank you text for it, which was awesome. She didn't have to, but it was nice. And she said that as soon as he saw his quilt, he grabbed it, drug it off in the corner, and he hasn't given it up since. So the majority of the quilts have been sent to their homes, which is good. And the ones that didn't want one all got took by one little boy. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, at least you know they're appreciated. My thing is, I don't want to give you a quilt that you're not going to appreciate. And I don't like to give quilts to people who put them up for good. I want quilts to be used. When I make quilts, I make them for people to drag them around and let the kids and the dog lay on them, take them on picnics, throw them in the back of the car. I want them to be used. That's what they're for. They're not for, I don't make quilts for you to hang up and keep as pretty. If I make a quilt like that, I keep it for myself. I have Happiness is Homemade by Lisa Capon that I made for myself. It's not going anywhere. I made Vintage Housewife for myself. It's not going anywhere. And those are probably the only two that I have for display only. And eventually they'll probably get put into the rotation to sleep under. And then I have a couple of other quilts that I made that I really like the pattern, but I still use them. We still sleep under them. That's what they're for. Who has 13 grandkids? Oh, your sister does. Wow. Yeah. Colleen, you have sentimental quilts hung on your closet door. You don't have, I mean, they were used already. One of them was a baby quilt, right? Those are sentimental quilts. They've had their use and now they're at the brittle end of life and they mean something to you guys outside of the of as keeping people warm. Now they're precious because his mom made the baby quilt or the grandma made the quilt. So I see using those as decorative items. I have a quilt from my granny that was so old and worn out that I actually used it as the inside of another quilt. So I get the advantage of still being able to use my granny's quilt. And I did crazy quilting over it for me from stuff that I had, and I put an old sheet on the back. And that's something I wanted to say. A few days ago, Colleen was taking apart a quilt, and the parts of the quilt that held up the best for her were made of sheeting. And I hear lots of people say, "Oh, you shouldn't use, old sheets or not great fabric, buy new fabric for quilts." I'm like, that's crap. Some of my quilts that have held up the longest literally have a sheet on the back. And Colleen's quilt meant that, or shows that. The parts of her quilt that held up the longest were the parts that were made out of sheets. You were taking apart blocks, is that right, Colleen? I'm looking down at my phone to see if she's already said something about that. But these people who get all up in knots because you used a sheet in a quilt or you used a sheet for the backing, and get all hoity-toity about it. I'm like, no, I don't agree with you. And that's why, is because I've seen the same thing. My granny used sheets on the back of quilts all the time. And some of her quilts lasted 60, 70 years. They outlasted her and the people that they were made for. And I still have them, you know? Yes, they are fabric snobs, Marie. Yeah, the sheets are 30 years old. Exactly. And I can go buy like January's white sale month, right? I don't know if they even still use that term anymore. But white sales were literally sheet sales. That's when the thrifty housewives of old would go to buy their bed sheets for the year and their blankets, curtains, any towels, all that stuff, because this is the month they traditionally go on sale, is January. So if you're in October, November, December, and you know that you need to replace the bed sheets for all the beds in your house or whatever, wait till January. If you're wanting to gift sheets or towel sets or whatever to somebody for Christmas next year or at the end of this year, this is the month to buy that stuff and put it up for gifts. I shop those sales because I like to use the sheets, like twin size flat sheets, as backing for quilts. And I bought a few sets that were on rollback after Christmas because they were colors that don't necessarily carry over into next year. I bought a tan, I bought a green, that kind of thing, because those make great backings for quilts and you get 4 or 5 yards of fabric out of it. So to pay $20 for $25, I think I paid for a king size sheet set. Pioneer Woman, if anybody's interested, because Pioneer Woman has good fabric. I paid $25 for a king size sheet set. I got a flat sheet, I got a fitted sheet, I got 2 king size pillowcases. 108, the 3-yard by 3-yard cuts at So Yeah. The last time I was there were $55. I got a sale email the other day where it was like $68 for a 3-yard cut of 108. And I was like, okay, so $25 for a king size, 2 king size sheets and 2 king size pillowcases. That's the backing for 2 baby quilts and 4 twins, or at least 2 queens or 2 kings. I think I did pretty good. I think $25 is a bargain compared to that. And even better is when you can go to the thrift store and buy, those big huge flat sheets for a couple of dollars a piece. And if you get a sheet that happens to have a stain on it because you missed it, applique something over it or embroider over it or whatever, or cut that piece out and use the rest of the fabric as something else. But yeah, if you're looking to do this frugally, which I am, then yeah, that's the way to look at it, in my opinion. Yeah, thread count is definitely, I don't like the ones that feel soft and silky or that are like jersey stretch, but there are a place for both of those in quilting stuff too. I got a ton of sheets from my daughter when her mother-in-law passed. I have a hamper that's this full. Well, it's not full anymore, but it's a tall hamper that's like, waist high for me. And I have been using the heck out of that. A lot of the quilts that went out of here with my grandkids and my kids the other day were made with those sheets on the back. And I opened up pillowcases on some of them and stitched the pillowcases together to make a big enough backing for the quilt. So I'm really happy with how those all went and that they've got them. I'm not big on the feel of those sateen ones either, but what those sateen sheets are good for, a big guy, I probably will be off by about 3, but thank you for coming. I appreciate it. You have a great day if you don't make it back. That sateen's good for making binding to go around baby quilts. If you happen to get one of those sheets and need to use it up, because that's my thing is I like to reuse and recycle as much as I can. And I will buy new, obviously, but it has to be a good discount or I'm not buying it. So, and I don't have a closet full of expensive shoes. I'm not into clothes. I'm not, the girl who's buying crap tons of makeup, that kind of stuff. I like fabric though. I like fabric. And I like my fabric and I like my machines that make quilting easy for me, which is why I've got to organize my sewing room before we can move. So Day 6 is probably gonna be whatever I get done today, and I think that that's going to be patterns because you guys can't see it, but sitting right here behind this is a bunch of patterns that, are in Ziploc bags. That's how I store them, and I'm going to go through them and see if any of those can go bye-bye, and I'm going to either pack them up or I'm going to at least put them in a drawer so that they're not hanging where I can see them. They're making my eyes hurt. You organize those sheet blocks. I know what no, I don't know what that means. What does it mean? Does that mean it's time to sew some more? I'm waiting on her to answer me. And I'm trying to give the mods time to put in everybody's links if they haven't already done it. You know where you put them. You can find them in 3 guesses. See? Oh, you don't know where you put them. Yeah, let me reiterate that for anybody who's never heard me say it, because I'm going to say it again and again. When you organize, you need to figure out before you put anything away, think to yourself, if I were looking for this, where would I look for it at? That's where you need to store that item. So, like all of my little boxes that I showed you, everything that's in those boxes is something that I thought to myself at one point, I want to put this away. Where would I look for it? And where I would look for it is in the drawer underneath my counter. So that's how come those ended up in that drawer in those little boxes with labels. So when you put things away, think to yourself, if I were looking for this, where would I look for it? And that's definitely where you need to put it. You guess where you thought you would look for it isn't where you'd look for it. Okay. All I'm thinking is those little boxes that you organized your fabric into. Did you make one just for projects or just for that quilt that you're working on? Because that may be where you put it. I don't know. I don't remember you telling us. Look at Sylvia go. She's rocking and rolling those links in there for me. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, labels are great, but if you put the labeled container away somewhere, where would you look for that labeled container? I have stuff in my closet and I know what's in there generally, but in my mind, it's like art supplies. So canvases, felt, the things that in my mind are lumped together as art supplies. But I don't store paint in there because in my mind, that's not the appropriate spot. If I'm looking for paint, I'm going to look in a specific drawer. And my stepdaughter is getting all of the bottles of open paint that I have. I don't think they're sorry. My eye was itching. I don't think they're going to travel real well from here to Michigan or Ohio or wherever we end up at. But I did order a little box, it's about this big, of acrylic paints that you can mix with gesso. And it's got 52 colors in a box this big. Whereas all of those paint bottles, I thought I had one sitting here, are like this tall. Some of them are open, some of them have dripped. They're messy. Exactly. Yeah, I have a label maker too. I really like that. Mine is cool because I it's newfangled. It was like $12, but I can type in on the app on my computer and it'll print the labels out, which saves me having to try to type on a little phone screen or something and then print out a label. If I can do it on the computer, it's easier on my hands. Exactly. Right. And that's the big thing. It's just I worked in a law office back when I first graduated college, and my boss said, such and such file, I need to see these documents. And I went in the file, in the computer, in the file, I found the documents, I printed them out, and I handed them to him. And he looked at me and he said, how did you do that? And I said, well, I just looked for the name and then looked for the documents you wanted. Apparently, he'd had a secretary for like 11 years before me who had left and gone to work. She got a job at a firm where she made like twice the money. And in the interim, he'd had like 4 different temporary people come in there that worked a few weeks and then went on down the road. And when I came along, he was like, "How did you find that?" He's like, "4 people before you couldn't find that." Well, apparently the way I think jives with the way the long-term secretary thought. So it worked out really well. And I knew her well enough that if I needed to find something and couldn't find it, I didn't hesitate to call her and say, "Where would you get this?" And she'd give me, her thought, because that's how you find things. It's where would you look for it? And for the most part, she and I jive together. Right. Right. Exactly, Colleen. Do you actually reach out for that? That's like with this rotary cutter here. I paper, and then I have a little one that I use for fabric. So I'm not using this one. So yes, it needs to go to a new home. But I'm not the kind of person who can just throw something like that in the garbage either. So, um, yeah, big guy, I gave you a nice shout out. So hopefully you'll get a few subscribers from that, either from the chat today or from replays, because these get lots more rewatches than you'd think. I'm always surprised at the number of people who watch. I appreciate those watches. That's called team replay. And I usually end up watching everybody else's videos as team replay because just don't have time to be in all the chats anymore. But okay, guys, it is a little bit after 3. I usually try to stay on for about an hour, and I still got to record a video for tomorrow for the organization challenge I'm doing this month. And I want to be able to record some things that will be helpful to you guys and show you some results, because I promised results today. And then because of my hands and the arthritis, I didn't deliver. I don't like that when I do that. So I got to deliver extra for tomorrow. So I'm going to say bye for now. You guys have a great day. I appreciate everybody being here, and I love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting me. Bye. Then I have to figure out how to stop it.